Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting night for sure, but more than anything, I think the thing we got out of it is, most nights we go down the night before a game and get to practice in the arena, get to see what it's like to be in a hotel, see what it's like to do a shoot around, film sessions on the day of the game, and just kind of get a feel for what it's like, life on the road. And so, to me, that was more valuable than maybe anything. And obviously, the guys were excited to play in that kind of environment against a Big 12 team. But, we learned from it, and that's what we were looking for in that game. And, we came back and watched every minute of our offensive possessions the next 2 or 3 days. And we scrimmaged again yesterday, and I think that we were, worlds better, just offensively speaking, from Wednesday to Sunday. So that was good to see. I think that game humbled us a little bit. We got some guys that pretty confident, have some big egos, and, we run motion offense, which is kind of a deal where you get shots within all the time that maybe you can make, but how many of the percentage of the time can you make them? We're not a pattern offense or come down and run a bunch of sets. And so I felt like in that game, we took a bunch of early shots that if we'd have just moved the ball a little bit more and shared the ball and moved it side to side, we'd have got better results. And then it also led into just bad transition defense, which is what the Longhorns want to do. And so I think from that standpoint, again, that was a learning thing for us, is like, hey, look, if you want to play that way and take these kind of shots, other teams are going to be just this good, and it's going to put us in that same situation. So I think more than anything, I don't know if it gave them confidence more than it was really a learning, and learning maybe through frustration a little bit, but that's okay because it's early and we're playing a lot of guys, and especially at the point guard and the five, they're new guys this year, and so those are two important positions, and we're all learning. So it was a positive for the most part. Really growth, from where we were on Wednesday, and then, yesterday again in a scrimmage. We're looking for some growth, and we've got about, 9 days here in order to get better offensively. Yesterday it was our defense that needs to get a little bit better. So, this week we'll be trying to fine-tune a few things on both ends of the court, and still trying to work with chemistry. We've played guys pretty much even minutes. So we're trying to, kind of see what cream is going to rise to the top and who's going to be our top 8 or 9 players. And so, really probably, looking more for a rotation, and really trying to look for, to stay healthy, because we know in the next 2 or 3 days after that we'll be playing in our season opener. And we know Houston's a good team. They're going to be a big team like Texas, and athletic team. They'll be different in the fact that they have more older juniors and seniors, where Texas had a lot of freshmen, and so I'm sure Houston will teach us a few things as well that we can learn from that game and get better. We try to focus on the process, and again, like I said earlier, I think we learn a little bit from frustration, but I think some of that has been good. Sometimes you got to see what doesn't work in order to know what does work, and then you can show them examples of, hey, look, this is what worked when you moved the ball side to side and got some better shots. This is what didn't work, and so I think that's kind of what we're looking for in those games. And I'm telling you, I've never coached a shot blocker quite like him. He cleans up a lot of mistakes. If our guards make, mistakes on the perimeter, he cleans up a lot of stuff back there, and it sure is nice, and even when he doesn't get it, they're thinking, man, he's coming. And so it's nice to see him, just how active he is, and how he sprints the floor really hard. And I think as he figures out our offense, he's going to be more potent on that end as well, being able to play above the rim and do some things. And so it's just a work in progress on the offensive end with him. But defensively, he's got a chance to get a lot of blocks this year. They've played in the big games. I view the Lone Star Conference tournament and the NCAA tournament as big games, and night in and night out in this tough league, they've been in them and they've won them. And so we've got to have it. It's imperative. We got to have them, their voice, leading by example, and just taking some of these other guys under the wing and saying, hey, look, this is what worked last year. It's going to work. Just trust the process. And so it's still a work in progress, but as every new team is in your journey, I think we're spot on with where we need to be. Well, I mean, obviously, we try to win every game. That's our goal, and that's not a secret. We try to win every game, and whether it be an in-region game, out-of-region game, whatever that is. But you want to try to set yourself up to get into an NCAA tournament. So you're trying to win all the in-region games for sure. But we've got to see progress each and every day and each and every week. And every game we've got to learn from it. Every practice we've got to learn from it. And when you're a motion team, you're not going to roll it out there on day one and it be perfect, and really I don't know any kind of offensive team that will be. And so, it's just going to be a work in progress, and hopefully we just see day-to-day improvement.
Yeah, I think this is a time of year where we're just pleased to play anybody. We've been staring at each other for such a long time now, a good solid month practicing against each other and getting after each other. This is a time of year when you have scrimmages and exhibitions where you don't really care who you're playing as long as it's somebody you've never seen before. So we're excited about our team. We don't really know what we have yet because we haven't had that real opponent or real game, but we'll be able to figure it out pretty quick on Friday. Yeah, I think early in the season what any coach looks for is offensive execution. Where are we in terms of what we're trying to do X's and O's wise on the floor? And then defensively, we're looking to see how well we guard possession by possession and see if we can out-rebound our opponents. So I know those are two really simple things, but they're the kind of things that we kind of gauge where we are this earlier in the year. Yes, and she already is better than she was at any point last year. She's better right now. She has a better understanding of what we do on the floor, a better understanding of how we rotate defensively, really a better understanding of the offense as a whole too. So, and also I think having a direct expectation placed upon her is going to make Jasmine an even better player. I think when she came here last year, she didn't have any kind of expectations on her. So she didn't excel maybe until January or February. And when she did, she was really, really good. And right now, you'd be really surprised. She's every bit as good as she was probably in March of last year. Well, last year, one of the things last year taught us, I should say, is that how close we were. We got beat by the number one team in the country, and they beat us pretty good. But it did show us the areas that we needed to improve in. We needed to be able to rebound a little bit better than last year. We needed more size. That was the biggest thing we learned from last year, is that we weren't quite big enough to get over the next hump. So hopefully we've done a good enough job recruiting-wise to make up for that deficiency. We knew we needed to recruit some rebounding, so that's what we did. And I think last year the way we can build on it is just knowing, A, that we were close, and B, we've added some pretty unique pieces to the puzzle that we think can get us there. So it should be a wide open race in our region, and we're excited to get it started. Well, I think 99 times out of 100, you look at the preseason poll and you roll your eyes and you say they mean nothing. But for us, I feel like it means a whole lot, because it's been a long time since we've been ranked anywhere in the top 25. And I'm just pleased to know when these guys came and we recruited them and they decided to come, they bought into the vision that we had, and they're seeing some payoff in that area. So I'm pleased that we are preseason ranked, and I am excited about that. But like everybody knows, once the ball is thrown up, none of that stuff really, really matters. But I do appreciate them getting some well-deserved respect. Well, first of all, I'll just say I'm just so thrilled that there is an expectation, because before there wasn't, and we're glad that there is, because teams usually excel when they have an expectation placed in front of them. Teams usually rise to that occasion, especially if you have good leadership, a good senior base, and we do. So I look for us to rise to the occasion and to meet any and all expectations that are placed on us this year, and it'll be certainly fun chasing our goals, that's for sure. Yeah, this time last year we had absolutely no idea what we had, and we had no clue. So I always tell people the first year anywhere is your most difficult year. Year two is not easy either, but at least you know kind of what you have sitting there for you. We have a solid returning base, which we already know what they can do. I'm probably more interested in watching the new guys and see how they do as the games progress, and see if they can buy into their role and improve the way we think that they can.
Oh, yeah. I don't know any other way to say it. We're in a good position. We're in the position we wanted to be in at this time of the year. But I keep getting the question, well, you've got 2 conference matches left. How do you stay motivated? And Well, it's simple. We don't just want to host a conference tournament. We want to host a regional, and for us to do that, we have to win. So we're very motivated and ready to get back in the gym and prepare this year for this week for 2 tough matches on the road. At 2 places where nobody's won on the second day. Nobody in our conference has won on that second day after a 6-hour trip between Western and Eastern. So that's a challenge. We need to be prepared for that because, one, we're first in the region, Metro State's second in the region, and neither one of us has lost in a long time. So one loss could make the difference in who's going to host that regional. So we're very motivated. I think the biggest thing for us right now is we need to stay healthy. We can't afford, little knick-knack injuries. We've got one player who's banged up. She's been playing banged up since the second week of the year, and we're just trying to manage her. She contributes a lot for us. So we need to stay healthy. We need to stay on task and compete with what we call a championship standard. We need to train with it every single day, and we do that, I think we'll be just fine. Well, the goals are the focus. It's something we talk about from day one, and they don't change. Every year they're the same. And so as they become closer to reality, it gets more and more important. And so we work a little bit harder every day to kind of make sure that we're staying on track to achieve those goals. And, it's also good leadership. The leaders on my team are on top of it, and they're not satisfied. You didn't see some big dance, on Saturday when we clinched the conference tournament, because they know there are bigger things at stake, and they're working for those. So this is obviously an awesome piece of the puzzle, a little frosting for our cake, but we have larger goals in mind, and we're still on track. So we're going to stay dialed into those things. I think something that's noticeable from the beginning of the year to now is defensively we've made a change at the libero spot. We call her Dave, but her name is Mallory Davidson. And she has just taken ownership of that position, and really excelled. And she's a playmaker. She's fun to watch. And balls that we're hitting the floor earlier in the year are not hitting the floor anymore. We're keeping them alive. We're scoring points with her in the game in that position, and the people that were playing those spots, they've stepped up to do other things on the court for us to help us win too. So I think that's the first thing. Second is our balance. I think a lot of teams have, 1 or 2 players that they can go to consistently, and we have 4 or 5, and so we're hard to defend because of that. And I think if we can keep that balance offensively as we compete, especially when it gets stressful, we should be in good shape. Well, I wouldn't call it recent success, recent for you because you're new to the area. But we've been in this position before. We know that we do have a target on our back. I use those words exactly. We're going to get everybody's best match, when we learned that the hard way earlier this year up in Canyon. So you only have to learn that lesson once, though. And so we're prepared for whatever's coming our way, and we're going to train hard to do what we do, and hopefully that'll be enough. That was pretty cool. I'll be honest, this never happened that way before, and it was senior day. Everybody's family was in town. It was a pretty special day.
Wet. It was good. Our kids played hard for 60 minutes. Obviously disappointed in giving up that late touchdown right at the end, but our kids were able to overcome the wet conditions. Basically came down that we were able to run the ball a lot more effective than WT, and I think that has a lot to do with our offensive line and then obviously our defense. Well, I think he did a great job. I think, obviously we wanted to throw the ball a little bit more going into the game, and we were able to do a little bit of that in that first quarter, but, the conditions just got to a point that we needed to really focus on the run, and I thought he did a great job. He had to keep it sometimes to keep the defense really honest. They were really crashing down hard on our running backs, and he took some hits, and he kept fighting through it and did an unbelievable job for us, and super proud for him just based on everything he's gone through this season. Well, I mean, we're excited to be at home for our last home game. I don't think we've been in a situation. Usually we've had another game following senior day, but super excited for our seniors. Obviously, disappointed how the season went for those guys, and I know that they had high aspirations as we all did for our season, but just super proud of those guys sticking together and fighting through the ups and downs of the season. Well, I think it would be phenomenal. Those guys that they could have laid down and they could have cashed it in and said it's not worth it because we're really not playing for anything. But those guys, have a lot of pride in our program and want to set up the returners. Give them some momentum going into off season, into the spring, and that'll that can happen if we win this game. So that'll be 2 in a row for us and something to build on going into the off season. Our guys were having fun, and the funny thing about it is our guys were the same way before the game. They had music going and really upbeat and a lot of excitement in our locker room, and then you could just tell that weight was lifted when we got into the locker room. They were soaking wet. Guys were jumping up and down, having a lot of fun, and it was good to see, especially for those seniors. Well, it's something that we will talk about all this week. What a great feeling it was to walk off that field knowing that we put everything we had into it and got that dub. And so going into this game, we want to end on the season. I think that it'll be a great taste in our mouth for them. For the end of their career that way, but for our returners, that momentum going into the off season, and we talked about this being a special week and honoring our seniors all week, and what a better way to honor them with the win Saturday. I think so. The biggest issue I think that they're going through right now is how young they are. They got a lot of kids that are freshmen and sophomores, not a lot of college experience, and so that's a first-year program, but Coach Kerrigan, who's an ASU alum, has done a great job with that program, and those guys are playing hard, and it's going to be a tough task for us. I'm just excited that we got them here so we can be in front of our fans and send these seniors out on a great note. Yeah, he's done an unbelievable job, and for a kid that got here late summer to be able to pick up the offense and really find his way. He's done a great job, but it wouldn't be possible without those guys up front. Those guys have really opened up lanes. He's made some great cuts, great reads. If you ask Josh, he's going to say the same thing. He couldn't do it without those guys, and hopefully we can get him there because we base a lot off our running game. If we can able to run the ball on Saturday, then that's going to open up some things for our Qs and our receivers.